What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Microtopia. We're immediately where we left off in the last episode. Feeling pretty good about ourselves. I like the direction of this colony, finally. And we have a nice, tileable, scalable resource production and refinement. In fact, we're going to open that up a little bit now because we are missing... we're not producing fast enough, is essentially the problem. So let's do that. Game's very easy to create this system, and we like it like that. That's exactly what we were hoping for. And you know, that way we can easily upgrade, easily increase our amount of workers. So let's just jump that up to 5. I think we got plenty to keep. I mean, yeah, she's getting a little low on energy, but again, we can't really sustain. You know, if you notice, if you watched throughout last episode, we didn't really get more than that, and that's including us just going absolutely bananas with these workers, these drones, and that's us supporting a second and this needs to change, because the very first thing we need is this guy going in here. Just go in here, please. Very first thing we need after they're born is to make sure that they go in there. We don't want them to not be producing ants. If there's any job that needs to be done on this island, it's produce more ants. Get out of here. I think we're done with this for a while. We can better utilize them elsewhere. Like collecting copper, right? Perfect. Perfect placement. And let's just have, you know, one. We don't need to go crazy. We have plenty. Look at this. We have so much and so much. Yeah. This is exactly the pace that we need for this playthrough. We're not trying to impress anybody. We're just trying to see what this game has to offer and learn with it, right? It's such an interesting concept of a game, because the base of it is really, you know, very awesome in my opinion. Automation, you know, you start out doing things by hand, and all of a sudden, before you know it, you got 130 ants doing everything for you. I know, it's pretty cool. These need to be updated immediately, or outsourced, because we can't use them, they're full. Okay, this one can go here. Is that useful at all? No. What if we did that like that? Aha, okay. Whoa, okay. So that has changed things dramatically. We don't want that either. Although it is nice to get your research up. What is this one at? 60 seconds? That was 45. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. How's this? Good, we have everything full. Almost. And yeah, that's exactly pretty much where we want. Screws. Taking over the place. And I forgot to set my timer. I'm gonna get good at that, okay? I'm gonna get good at that. 25 minutes starting now. But at the moment, I'm not good at that. But we're gonna get good at that. Okay. Looks like one screw maker is pretty much exactly what we want. Yeah. Okay. So we're in a good spot. You know, even though for some reason, you know, not for some reason, but because we're unable to maintain the pressure on the queen, the feeding pressure, then she is not going to maintain her ability to sustain a larger population, right? We don't need it. We don't need it. We are we're barely again capable, and as we stop just mass producing these drones and they start dying off, our population will it's artificially inflated, I guess is what I'm saying. With all those drones, we don't need that many to begin with, because we haven't even set up anything over here that we want. But that's probably gonna what we'll do. I'm gonna try and set something up like that, because again, like I said at the end of last episode, we really need to get some of these products that we were creating over here to this other island. And this is like a good spot for it. We are very quickly making our way through all of the copper. Give ourselves some production space, but we really also want to take these out. Because we want to build here too. Since we have it set up like that, really only need one ant working in there. That's perfect, because we have 3 ants remaining. And, well, 2 ants, because this one is empty. And again, we always want, the very first thing that we want them to do when they're born is to check to see if they can recreate themselves, so that we don't have to bootstrap this process very often. And that's really one of the most tedious parts, is you forget something, you have to bootstrap it. That causes you to forget to do something else ad infinitum, and you know, it can really take the joy out of this game. So the closer attention you pay in the beginning, the easier you're going to find the process of creating these mega colonies, or at least, you know, colonies that can get up to 200 population. And I think the max is like 500 population. So yeah, I've never even seen that, but that seems just outright insane. So we have quite a few more plates. As you can see, I mean, when you're steadily producing plates, you aren't going to run out. But we're not breaking, you know, we're not breaking the bank with the amount of plates we're producing either. You know, like look at this. It's pretty much full. We're going to need another. No, that's what we want. We're gonna need another one of these just to be safe. Just to keep us safe. And we'll just keep that there as a reserve. But this is just insane. Let's just pick one of these over here. And yeah, this is beautiful, right? Because we are now out producing the queen, which means you know, we can tune down the amount of ants we have here, maybe 7. I feel like this was a good idea, right? Only allowing the small ants to work in this area gives them the first dose of reality in life. Yeah, they are going to have work. What the hell is happening here? What the hell is happening there? So that's where the other ant, immortal ant, was. Come over here, drop your shit off. Oops, sorry. Try not to swear. Let's... yeah, we're going to want those large and in charge ones very quickly. The stockpiles. Because we're now quickly outproducing whatever she can do. But it's not going to be that way for long, right? Because we are working towards our pod ants, our immortal ants. But This is the next 3 of you that get fed. Next 2 of you are going to turn into large stockpiles, so we're going to need that. So what are we doing over here? And how can we, again, you know, without trying to fumble too much here, we want to figure out how we can acquire our resources from our main island onto our separate island, our second island, our desert island, so we can expand this colony, right? Again, we will need iron blocks at least here to create screws and things like that, because there are mineable resources, and we need to get them over here. We do have, you know, a large amount of iron, but it's just so tedious right now. We can't get the miners to get in there and start digging all this stuff and getting more space, you know, allowing our workers to get in there and pick all these things up, right? So we need to figure out how are we going to do that, and we have a good area for that right here. I think we have enough space right here, in fact. So we'll redo that here. Now, let's pause so that we can see what we're dealing with. Let's start with our landing zone, and we will place that facing towards our home island in this kind of you know, configuration. And the first thing we want anyone that lands to do is to check if they have a larva and drop it off. Now, we can put our landing or our takeoff launch pad here, but we're going to do something different, right? We unlock those carry gates, and that's what we really want to use here. And we're going to say, if you are not carrying anything, immediately go back, right? But now that allows us to do some other things, right? Because what if they are still carrying something? What if they weren't carrying a larva? What could we do with that, right? Now, we can use our carry gates, and we can put stockpiles here. And I think maybe 3 or 4 will be enough. And what we'll do is we'll create some carry gates here. And let's say, you know, you're carrying, say you are carrying iron blocks. You're gonna come here, you're gonna drop off your stuff. Let's say you are carrying screws. You're gonna come in, you're gonna drop off. Let's say you are carrying fabric. You're gonna come in here, you're gonna drop off. In fact, we could do it this way. Just because we want to efficiently send them back to their launch pad to get back home and get back into the swing of grabbing stuff. Okay, I like it. So now we have, you know, essentially an easy and tileable airport that, you know, we didn't have to assign anything to these stockpiles, nothing like that. We again, we don't want to carry the bulky base resource. Like, we don't want to carry scrap iron over there. We'd prefer to carry iron blocks. Now, in order to do that, again, we're gonna have to scale up. We're probably gonna need 6 or 7 of these to sustain that amount. But again, we don't need to go that fast, that hard, that quickly, because we can carry over the end products as well, right? We can carry over screws to jumpstart. Now, how can we set this up in such a way that we don't, in the opposite way, break the bank, right? Of tearing away all these resources, because what you notice if you've been watching is that these guys did not stop getting created, right? There was just a flood, a swarm of these guys, the drones flying back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And if that were to be the case, right, we would not want all those guys to be carrying a resource every time, because very quickly, they're going to, fill up these small storages. We only want to carry excess goods for now, right? So let's say, and yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's say we have our loop for the drones. Let's take our launch pad, and we only need one of these things. And that's one thing that, maybe you need one per island, but you really only need one launch pad and one landing pad to make all this stuff work. And in my earlier playthroughs, when I was just still trying to figure out what the hell I was doing, it was so easy for me to be like, okay, I need 6 assemblers just for pod workers because I have produced so many. But then I asked myself, why did I produce so many pod workers like that? Was it necessary to produce just that many and at that frequency? And the answer is really no, because once you've produced pod workers, your population does become a hindrance, and you really need to. You don't want to produce too many. So that's when timer gates become important. That's when all these other gates that you've unlocked really, really become useful. Once you're really, looking at all of your resources, including your population as a resource, and you don't want to get overwhelmed. It's so easy to get overwhelmed in this game. So, having said all that, how are we going to maintain some stockpile here of our goods while still being able to supply our second island with goods? Well, in that case, we're going to use stockpile gate, which we unlocked before, and we are going to have a simple setup, okay? And we're going to have one ant in here, or one drone in here at all times, okay? And now, I'm glad this came up, because this is saying that the gate is looping in on itself. What that means is that this gate will always have somebody in it. It's impossible to tell where the ending of this loop is. And that, we're going to use the counter end gate, right? We really only want this to be in use. And we can up this if we feel like we need more than that, but for now it's going to be fine. And we're going to use a stockpile gate in here to set a parameter for our Air Force. And actually, we should do something else first. The first thing we should do is put the first thing we should do is have every ant try to get the larva. Okay, so let's do that. Let's start there. Every ant needs to grab a larva if that's possible, and if it is, and they're carrying something, they may leave. Beautiful. Now we can do the stockpile gate and tell the next ant that if there's no larva there, we want to grab an iron block. But if there's we only want to grab iron blocks. This is assigning it to 30. That's fine. Let's give ourselves a stockpile of like 45 iron blocks. Now, if there's 45 iron blocks in there, we want to take an iron block out of there and send it to the next island. Okay. So we're going to do that. And we're going to go on like that. We're going to do screws. And so that will take a stockpile gate. There we go. And we'll assign this target. Yep, perfect. We'll assign this target. And this, we don't need too many, right? We can keep 10 because we have that large stockpile. We really want to jumpstart the mining process over here, because for the moment, this is all the glass and all the copper. You know, copper is more abundant. Look at it all over there, right? Copper is more abundant than glass. I mean, these are large deposits, right? But you know, there's way more copper than there is glass. So we want to be able to mine this glass, and there's way fewer of these glass piles than there are of the copper piles. So we don't need to focus on mining the copper immediately. We really want to focus on mining the glass because, again, we want to be able to produce as many of these pod workers as we can here until a certain point, until we reach, you know, a critical mass. Because it is possible to produce so many workers that you starve out this whole other colony, right? Eventually you'll have so many workers in this colony, on your main base, that you simply cannot produce, the queen will refuse to produce larvae, and that will eradicate this base, and you'll have to jumpstart it all over again. So we really do not want that. But we do need the pod workers. They are just that handy, and you'll see once we start producing them just what I mean. But yeah, so far so good, and I'm happy with the pace we've taken, and we have one more, and that's fabric. So let's place a dispenser, you know, here-ish. Oops. Just take this dispenser, because why not? And I don't really like the way that looks, so we'll do this. Here. Just in case we need more space, you know. We do want to use our space wisely. But, yeah. Okay. You don't like that? Alright, we can do there. Perfect. Alright. So now we need to set this stockpile, and we do need a few. How many do we have in there now? 38? Okay, that's perfect. Let's keep 30. That gives us enough to produce one more assembler and maintain our fleet of drones. And let's see how this works. Okay? Because the way we have it set up isn't... Oh, this is not good. We want this to immediately return here. You can go here. So, okay, looking good. Now, if we have... Nope, doesn't like any of that. Oh, looks like we have less. Okay, perfect. Oh, nope, wrong. Get over here. Sorry, little buddy. We need to change the target to this. Hallelujah. Good eyeballs. Good thing we watched that. Okay, so now we got a fabric. Drop that, get out of here. And as we're producing more and more things, we'll be able to produce, or we'll be able to send more over. So let's take a look. We got our first guys falling, or falling. Our first guys arriving. I think that looks much nicer. So, drop it off, head home, pick up the next thing. Perfect. Now, having a system like this in place, you know, again, we really want to limit the amount of drones we're using, obviously, because of the fact that it counts towards our population. And we are not in a position to have, you know, 50 drones flying around when we want to maximize the population on this island. And let's see if our system works here. It looks like it is. Looks very nice. And what is this going to be? Whatever. If they come with something and we don't know what it is, it will get dropped off there. Eventually that will come back to bite us in the butt, but not now. We don't need to think about it just yet. But we will want to come back to that and remember that we are doing something like that. Looks like this stockpile of twos, energy pod 2s is nice. So one thing about this, it does change the amount of food. Every energy pod 1 that the queen gets gives her 1 energy. Every energy pod 2 she gives her 3 energy. So again, you know, this method is great for it till a certain point, because eventually we'll be able to feed her so quickly that we don't want to feed her all that often. Hey, little baby. You got a pipe? What's in there? Does it make noise? Can you make noise? You got Bam Bam. What happened to your arm? I love you. Ah, yeah, it is black. You're right. Okay. Sorry about that. Yep. Kids. Okay, we got more tiles. We need to pick that one up because it's just chilling over there. Totally useless to us. And we got that one guy over there, right? We made that mistake with it. Good thing we found it in time, but it didn't clog any of our mechanisms, any of our production. That would have been very unhappy. Very unhappy business. Okay, so we got 100. Let's get these large stockpiles. And let's see what that does. Now, we can combine 2 of these on one. At least. And this can go here. Place another one and we'll get all these combined. This will probably be the end of this episode. We're reaching that time. Thank you everybody for watching. This has been quite the ride. I'm grateful to be here with you, for you. Grateful you're here for me. Excuse me. Grateful you're here for me. Grateful you're here for me and with me as well. I feel like I have really stepped up my gameplay. Unless you've been watching, that is. Then you'll know the answer to this. No. But I feel like in particular this series has helped me to organize my thoughts, as I've said numerous times. But, you know, I think we're in a place where it shows now. And I'm grateful for everybody that has watched, you know, any of this content. I'm just grateful for you guys. That's not the right one for you to be in. This is the one you want. But yeah, also because it has made it more fun for me. So this is a perfect example of why we want the Elder Gates in the setup that we have, because if these ants don't have an Elder Gate here, they just die. And that loses us out on a lot of stuff. That's another 10 minutes of flight time, collecting, resources. We could even end their lives in a more meaningful, impactful way by turning them into these inventor ants. So that's why this clean, nice setup is exactly... Get out of here. Stop wasting. Stop wasting. Get out of here. Thank you. Don't you want to be with your friends? Don't you like your friends? Your friends are all over here. How on earth? Oh, okay. I thought that was a digger ant. I was like, what the hell happened there? Okay. So now we want this. And we want to replace this. Thank you for that. Okay. So it looks like in the next episode we will be busy reorganizing everything. But again, that could be the subtitle of this game. Reorganization of the video game. What are you doing? What don't you like here? Okay, I'm with you. That's what you didn't like. And something died there, see? So, the more complicated it gets, the more intricate it gets, the more you really need to think out and think about what you're hoping to accomplish with your builds, right? It isn't quite like any other factory game in that way. Let's end on getting the last 2 pieces of... Hopefully they will not survive. You will survive. Sorry. Thank you for your sacrifice. I don't think this one will be able to survive either. But it might. It might. Okay, that was the timer, but we're gonna go. And we're gonna say thank you once this ant reaches its destination. 10 seconds, 14 seconds, something like that. Let's watch it. Probably didn't want to hear those knuckles cracking, but this has been a fun experience so far. I'm grateful for all of you. Appreciate you. And looks like it's not going to be able to get there in time, but that's life. And what an apropos way to end the episode. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.